Hey everyone, thanks for joining Sport Talk. I'm super excited about the 2019 Formula One season, and I hope you are too. If you switched off back in Abu Dhabi last year, which was the last race in 2018, switch back on now, so much has changed, especially with teams and drivers. Let's start off with the drivers. So we've got 20 drivers, 10 teams, 21 races. Out of the 10 teams, only 2 teams have decided to retain their driver lineup, and that's Mercedes and Haas. Driving for Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and for Haas, Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. Out of the remaining teams, there's a lot of drivers which have moved across to different teams, and there's a lot of young blood and rookies come to the sport from Formula 2, so that's interesting. Let's start off with Ferrari. Charles Leclerc moves from Sauber to join Ferrari. He becomes the youngest ever Ferrari driver since 1961, and he drives with the 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. I'm keen to see that inter-team rivalry, and I don't know about you, but that should be interesting. Next up is Lando Norris, who comes in from Formula 2 championships. He finished second in F2 last year, and he takes Stoffel Vandoorne's seat. And paired with him is Carlos Sainz, who replaces his idol Fernando Alonso in the McLaren second seat this year. Driving for Red Bull this year is Pierre Gasly, who gets promoted from sister team Toro Rosso. He's going to be paired along with Max Verstappen. Speaking about Red Bull, Daniel Ricciardo leaves Red Bull to join Renault. That's a bit of a shock move. I'm not sure whether that's the right move. We'll come to know in time, but he'll be driving alongside Nico Hülkenberg. Moving on to Sauber, Kimi Räikkönen leaves Ferrari to join Sauber, which now is no longer known as Sauber but Alfa Romeo. And if you remember back in 2001, that was when Kimi debuted with Sauber, and he's back with the same team, so that'll be an interesting story if he retires with the same team he joined. Well, driving alongside Kimi Räikkönen is Antonio Giovinazzi, who moves from FP2. I think he comes from FP2, but he had a stint back in F1. I think this was back in 2016, but yeah, a full year for Giovinazzi this year. Sergio Perez continues to drive for Racing Point, formerly Force India, and driving alongside him is Lance Stroll. If you guys don't remember, his father, Lawrence Stroll, the Canadian billionaire, bailed out Force India from administration last year, and his son now has a seat. Can Lewis Hamilton make it 6 world championships this year? Valtteri Bottas looks stronger from pre-season testing and qualifying, so that's going to be interesting, that rivalry between the two drivers. Has Romain Grosjean, I mean, he's going to be charged up to take on Kevin Magnussen this year. I don't know whether you guys have been watching the Netflix series Drive to Survive. If you haven't, definitely recommend it. It takes you behind closed doors and shows you a team boss relationship with the driver. Gunther Steiner, I think Christian Horner, when he was questioned and asked whether he's seen the show, he obviously did, because he starred in it, and he made reference to Gunther's Tourette's syndrome because of his blue language which he used in the show. It is really exciting, guys, so if you haven't seen Drive to Survive on Netflix, definitely recommend it. For Toro Rosso, Daniel Kvyat makes a comeback after, I think this is the 3rd time he's back, and he drives alongside Alexander Albon, who is the 3rd rookie driver from FP2 to land a seat in F1 this year. So he debuts for Toro Rosso this year. Lots of eyes on him. And finally, Williams, the much awaited or much talked about return from F1, Robert Kubica, who had a horrific rally car accident back in 2011, I think 8 years ago. Daniel Ricciardo had some good things to say about Robert Kubica. I think he kicked off a conversation with the press at the pre-press conference for free practice, and then all the other drivers joined him and applauded Robert Kubica for his return. So yeah, that was a good gesture. So driving alongside Robert is George Russell. George Russell is an F2 driver making his debut this year. He won a Formula 2 championship last year, so he's a British driver, so good luck to him. Hope he does well. And that pretty much sums up the driver lineup for Formula 1 2019. Moving on from drivers to changes to rules and regulations, I think the most notable change is the cars are much wider this year. The frontal area of the car has changed. The front wing is a lot wider. It's much more simpler. The rear wing is taller, again simpler. I think Formula One is just pointed all the energies in direction to kind of simplifying things, which makes the sport all the more interesting, because what they're trying to do is encourage overtaking. So the cars are less aerodynamically disruptive. Now we've got smaller brake ducts, which means less downforce, and that effectively would you say will result in more nose to tail action. The other change is there'll be 3 red lights behind the car. From last year there was just 1, and I think this is just directed to, you know, to create more visibility for drivers in poor conditions, be it rain or be it fog or whatever that is. Fuel allowance has also increased by 5 liters, so drivers don't have to be that much more careful in terms of saving fuel. So we'll see less of lifting and coasting towards the end of the race and more action right till the checkered flag. Weight is not an issue anymore. So the drivers can ditch aside those salads and eat those carbs and the meat and proteins with more confidence, because the driver and the car will be weighed separately towards the end of the race. Also, drivers will be wearing biometric gloves with monitors embedded within them to test their vital signs. So that's another new introduction this year. Safety is top priority for Formula One, as you can see. There are 3 tire compounds this year, nice and easy: white, yellow and red. White is the hard compound, that's about 1.5 seconds slower. Yellow is the medium compound, about 0.9 seconds slower. And then you've got red, which is the soft compound, which is the quickest of the 3. Other interesting piece of information to share is Mick Schumacher, 19-year-old Michael Schumacher's son, makes his debut for Formula 2 this year and will drive for Prema Power Team. So good luck to him. It's just a matter of time. He's going to break the doors and make his way into Formula 1. A significant milestone this year will be the Chinese Grand Prix. It will mark the series' 1000th World Championship race, dating back to the first race in 1950, which was the British Grand Prix. To put things into perspective, 1950 Alfa Romeo 158 200 bhp car, 2019, 69 years later, a Formula 1 car, 1.6 litre hybrid, hypercharged, haloed, packing nearly 1000 bhp. I think that is coming a long way. Finally, pre-season testing is complete. Qualifying Australian Grand Prix is complete. Ferrari, I thought, weren't showing their hands in pre-season testing. They look really strong. Mercedes second, Red Bull, Haas, Renault possibly close third. But yeah, it was strange to see in qualifying, you know, Mercedes really were what, I think 3/4 of a second ahead of Ferrari, which is really good. Lewis Hamilton on pole, Valtteri Bottas second, but that was a close second. In third comes Sebastian Vettel. Splitting the 2 Ferraris, Max Verstappen in 4th and Charles Leclerc in 5th. Now, I think that's a really good startup, a good lineup for the start. I mean, it's going to be interesting. The other driver to watch out for is Lando Norris. Now, he joined McLaren this year, and Lando put in a really good qualifying performance. I'm pretty sure he's up there in the 7th or 9th position. I'm not sure, but he's in the top 10, which is a big feat for a rookie driver making his debut in Formula 1. Last but not the least, the sad demise of Charlie Whiting, the FIA race director, who died at the age of 66 due to a condition called pulmonary embolism. Charlie was fondly remembered by all the race drivers, team bosses, and anyone to do connected with Formula 1. As a race director, he would obviously, you know, brief drivers, you know, of rules and regulations before the race. If there were any penalties awarded to drivers, they had to go see Charlie after. Apparently he's just helped everyone out on the grid and has been a prominent figure for the sport. Martin Brundle put it nicely when he said 36 years associated with the sport, he's seen Charlie at every race, and now he's gonna miss seeing him. And it's not just him, it's the whole sport. So yeah, so rest in peace, Charlie. Okay, so we're less than 24 hours away from the Australian Grand Prix. I am super excited about the start. It's going to be electrifying. Lewis Hamilton's up there, and Paul. You got Max at the back, over Vettel. So it's going to be electrifying. If you like this content, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe below. Subscribe below, not subscribe below. Subscribe below. There's a bell icon. If you click on that icon, then you get reminders. I plan to post videos like this before every race this year, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do all the hard work for you and get those stats and figures and interesting gossip. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, we can get a conversation flowing, so don't forget to comment below. And yeah, hopefully we have a really good Australian Grand Prix, and drive safe, guys.